Today we'll be testing the NCP1239B65WGEVB, a 65 watt 19 volt power supply evaluation board from ON Semiconductor. The equipment we'll be using for today's test include an AC power supply, a power meter, two multimeters, one to measure the output current and the other to measure the output voltage, and a DC electronic load. To begin test 1, the no load standby test, make sure that your LED jumper is removed. Next, set your AC power supply to 115 volts, turn it on. Check that your output voltage is within 5% of 19 volts, and verify that your input power is below 45 milliwatts. Next, change your AC power supply to 230 volts. Again, check that your output voltage is within 5% of 19 volts. And finally, verify that your input power is close to 55 milliwatts. This concludes test 1, the no load test. To begin test 2, the nominal power test, make sure that the LED jumper is installed on the board. Next, set your AC power supply to 115 volts and turn it on. Now set your DC electronic load to 3.4 amps, turn it on. And make sure that your output voltage is still within 5% of 19 volts. Now check that your input power is between 70 and 75 watts. Next, change your AC source to 265 volts. And check that your input power remains between 70 and 75 watts. This concludes test 2, the nominal power test. To begin test 3, the maximum power test, set your AC power supply to 115 volts, turn it on. Next, set your DC electronic load to 3.4 amps, turn it on. And slowly increase your DC electronic load until your Vout collapses. This should happen between 3.9 and 4.5 amps. It happened at about 4.3 amps in this case. We're going to decrease our DC electronic load to make sure that Vout recovers. And it has. Next, set your AC power supply to 265 volts, turn it on. We're going to set our DC electronic load to 3.4 amps again and turn it on. And repeat the same procedure of increasing the electronic load until Vout collapses. This should happen around 4.1 amps. It collapsed around 4.15 amps. So now we're going to decrease our DC electronic load to make sure that Vout recovers. This concludes test 3, the maximum power test. To begin test 4, the short circuit test, set your power supply to 115 volts, turn it on. We are now going to short the output. To do this, we'll turn the load on and short it. We can see that our output collapses. We will remove the short, and we can see that our output returns to 19 volts, and then we'll set it to 3.4 amps, and then slowly increase it to make sure that our output collapses as it did earlier. The output collapses, and then we will reduce it to make sure the output goes back to 19 volts. Now set your AC power supply to 265 volts, turn it on. Now we are going to repeat the procedure of shorting the output. To do this, turn the load on, apply the short. We can see that Vout collapses. Remove the short. We can see that Vout returns to 19 volts. And then we're going to set our electronic load to 3.4 amps. And then slowly increase it to make sure that Vout still collapses. We can see that Vout has collapsed. We will reduce it, and we can see that Vout recovers. This concludes the test of the NCP1239B65WGEVB. For more information, visit us online at www.onsemi.com or contact an authorized distributor.